Hello and welcome to this episode of Between Friends. I am excited to be here today and I'm always so grateful that you joined. Today we're going to talk all about continuous embroidery and how you can achieve continuous embroidery in frankly any size hoop from a 4x4 to much larger. I started doing continuous embroidery way back when I only had a 5x7 hoop, and I thought that was quite the large hoop. So I'm just delighted to share these techniques with you because I know many of you don't have all of the big hoops that many of us have. So welcome everyone. So good to see you here. Tony Jones from Florida and Alicia from Northwest Arkansas. Well, goodness, we are practically neighbors, right? Northwest Arkansas. And Kathy Winks, you're in gloomy Everett, Washington. Sorry that it's gloomy there today. And we're also going to take a look at Angela Wolf's latest collection, which is super exciting. Wait till you see the potential that's in that collection. And I know many of you are excited to see the December door coming soon. But before we do that, let's take a look at some of the doors that you've already done. And hi, A. McCarthy, but Retha Ranke, she has followed the tutorial on how to do binding, and you did it. I'm so glad. You know, it's not that bad, right? It's not that bad. And I've gotten better at it. I shared that with you a couple weeks ago. The more you do, the better you get. And if you just accept that it's the task that finishes this great work of art, really, that you created, it puts that final touch on it, it's achievable. I mean, my goodness, if you were able to design and piece all those pieces together and quilt it, you can handle binding for sure. Okay, so let's take a look. Now, I know many of you have been following along. So here we have January through April, and we are really winding up the year. We're going to be doing our last door in about 10 days. So that's super exciting. And this is all the way from May through August and September, October. And this is our current November door. So out on the web, I found Lynn Newton Broadbent, who I believe is the student, I guess we should say, of Sue Brown over at OML Embroidery, and she's learning with Sue. So it's all about new projects and just kind of getting her feet wet with machine embroidery. And this is her first door, the one on the left. She did a beautiful job. She selected cloud fabric and leaves for the ground on the bottom, just beautiful. And her barn fabric is beautiful. That was a great idea. Now, Gil Scaris Brick, she went a completely different way. Now, she's added Black Cat Farm to the top of the barn instead of having that quilt block there that I had furnished. And she totally changed the actual doors. So instead of having them closed, she has them opening up to reveal the heifer that's inside. And she added some buttons that really are 3D butterflies. Oh, they're super cool. Really very, very well done. I love that. And then Crystal Campbell on the left, here are all of her doors, how she is displaying them in a spot in her sewing room or home somewhere in her house. And she has just, of course, like the rest of us, one spot left for December. It's just waiting for that. Krista Lovely MacArthur, I had to share this because this is the October door, you know, going back a month. And I really love what she did. She's not a huge fan of Halloween. And, you know, frankly, I'm not either. My father passed on Halloween, so it's not that great of a day for me. But she put her address on the top of the door, and she put a haystack on the left side, and she did that welcome sign, which, you know, here in Texas, we see those signs on many homes decorating, you know, and welcoming people to their home all over Texas. So, and the black cat, you know, that's super fun. And she, of course, she did keep the broom, and who doesn't have to sweep up or rake leaves in the fall, right? So well done, Krista. I love how people are you know, adding their own touch. It's what makes it so special. So special. And Deb Holland, you want to know how and where you upload your door. Well, Deb, if you tag your door with hashtag Dime Door And on Facebook, we do a search every week, and that's how we find all the people that have been posting their doors. So I hope you'll do that, because we love sharing other people's doors. That's what makes this so fun. Absolutely. And Judy Quilt goes, Arlene, yay, right? I know. I was happy to find Lynn's door too, because I know this is all new to her. So super cool. Okay. Now, the next one up is December. And of course, it's a little early. So we're going to change the schedule, because our normal schedule is Thanksgiving, right? And that's when we would reveal it. And we won't air on Thanksgiving Day. So we're going to have a special day on November 30th. And I think we have a little trailer for you. I know, isn't that exciting? So we're going to do kind of an all-day demo on November 30th. Well, not all day, it's mini marathon. We're going to start at 1 o'clock, and we're going to have what I'm calling Dime Demo Day on Cyber Monday. We're going to have 3 guests, and that's Ashley Jones, Aine McCarthy, Deborah Jones, and myself. And we're all going to take turns demoing all of our dime product, because, you know, it's Fabulous Friday, previously known as Black Friday, and Cyber Monday. So we're going to celebrate all those special prices for you and just do demos all afternoon. And in the midst of that Cyber Monday, we're going to reveal the December door. And I already checked with our friend Sue Brown at OML, and she will do her sew along the following Saturday. So check your calendars, and that is that's how we're going to do it. Wasn't that so kind of her to cooperate with us? And, you know, she's in Canada. Like, she don't really care about U.S. Thanksgiving. Let's see. And Wendy Hansen, you want to know the pretty lace on my shirt. You know, this is a collection that's in my Lace Maker software. And the white that is behind it is actually a stretch mesh. Stretch mesh is a fabric that you often find in the lining of a bathing suit. It's also used in lingerie and dancewear. And I like to include that in some of my lace that I make, because then I can wear this and, you know, cut away the t-shirt. Well, I'm not going to really show you that, but the t-shirt is not behind it. It's just the mesh. So once I stitch this beautiful lace on the stretch mesh, and then I kind of applique that, free motion quilt it to the tunic, I then cut away that excess tunic fabric behind the lace, and then you can't see through. So it works out well. Okay, and let's see, that Jackie Burke wants to know, yes, that is Eastern time. It's Eastern time. So our Cyber Monday will start 1 o'clock. No, that's not true. Central, you know, actually we're starting 1 o'clock Eastern time, because we're actually starting here in Texas at noon. So that it will get those times all situated and corrected when you see in our stream. So it will be 1 o'clock Eastern time, noon Central time on Cyber Monday, which is November 30th. It's going to be super fun. All right, so what is next? Well, the next thing we want to do is, I know we're going to tap into Angela's collection, but before we do that, I thought let's take a look at continuous embroidery samples that I have made over the years, because I want you to kind of open your mind of how you could use Angela's collection, or even just the techniques of continuous embroidery. So I'm going to start with a Christmas decoration, a mantel scarf that I use in my home and have been using for over, oh, really? Do I have to say this out loud? 15 years. This is, you know, it's as long as my mantle. And this was all done in a 5x7 hoop. So isn't that amazing that you can do that? You can do it. I did it back then. You can do it again now. So lettering is, this technique is also applicable for lettering, big, large lettering. Imagine if you were doing a border on a quilt, that would also be appropriate. Here's I was thinking of Judy Warren when I designed this pillow. Now, you know, in a 5x7 hoop, I can get this part, but I can't get the whole thing. And in a 4x4, I can only get a limited portion. So I could get my 3 letters and part of this border design, and then I would have to rehoop and do that again. So that would be 4 hoopings in a 4x4. And also it would be 4 hoopings, actually 5 probably. No, I couldn't. Yep, it would be 5. In a 4x4, we have our 4 corners, and then we would place the center design in the middle. Now, if I was using a 5x7, I could get 2 hoopings. I can get these 2 designs and this one, and then move over and get my last 2. So that works beautifully for that. So that's, you know, kind of home decor, right? But then we have some I have a garment that I love. This garment. This is another kind of one of those loose tunics. They're just easy to wear, very comfortable. This is a silky material. And this is a continuous embroidery design. Again, this was stitched in multiple hoopings. It was 2 in a 5x7. I think the split is right here, and then repeated again. This is actually a trim that is added, you know, sewn on after the fact. It's just defined that border area. So that was stitched with a adhesive sew and wash, so that it would just wash away after the embroidery, and it's so comfortable to wear, and it has a really nice, lovely, soft hand. So I love that one. Now, also in the adhesive sew and wash would be a design like this. Now, this is a freestanding lace design, and you most certainly could do this in a 4x4 hoop. You know, you're not going to get the whole thing, but you could get 3 scallops, and then you would advance and get the last 2. So this technique would also work for bags. I have another bag to show you. This is trim that was stitched. This is also out of My Lace Maker software. And I stitched this in our matte finish thread, which is our vintage thread. It gives you kind of an old world look, and I thought it blended well with this wool flannel purse along with that monogram. And then this little band here is actually a trim. But again, you know, can't do that whole thing in a 4x4, but I most certainly can, you know, hoop several times to get that continuous embroidery. You don't need that big hoop if you don't have one. But here's a sneak peek at something that I created with Angela Wolf's collection. So here is her beautiful border designs. And then I added buttonholes and a little, you know, pizzazz of a little dot there in the center. And then that's, you know, kind of, that's insertion lace. You can make your own insertion lace. Like here, I have, this is my sample. So this gives you a good idea of how I test designs. I'll stop a design in the center, in the middle of its run, so I can see what color is going to be best. I mean, I like the purple, but then you notice that after I cut the buttonhole open, some of that fabric, the base fabric, can peek through the buttonhole. So if I match my thread to the fabric, then you don't notice it as much at all. So in order to thread this, I just fold one end of the ribbon and insert that into the buttonhole. And, you know, of course, you could use some kind of tool or skewer or poke, you know, something to poke it through. But isn't that nice? And then, you know, you'll come up through the next buttonhole. Now, when you do this, you have to plan that embellishment here, that it's going to be underneath, you know, that the ribbon will not obscure it. If I go all the way across, we won't see all that extra embroidery that we did. So plan that. You don't need that little orange dot between every buttonhole. You'll need it in every other one. And it's a great way to experiment with color, you know, to decide what colors you want to go with. And of course, you know, if you know me, I love the Kay Fawcett fabrics, and so I have a stash of that, and I'm kind of working through it. So this is a wild bag, but you know, when you're traveling and you have a black suitcase and you have a lot of black things in your black suitcase, well, this is easy to spot. So I like that for sure. Okay, so Cindy West, you want to know how do you line up in the 5x7 hoop? Well, that's what's up next. So I'm going to show you the technique on how I do that. But first, let's take a look at Angela's collection. Isn't it gorgeous? This is her touch of couture. Now, if you don't know Angela, Angela is a fashion designer. She has a a wonderful company. She's got a Facebook group. She's a very active guest on It's So Easy television show. So you could do a quick Facebook search for Angela Wolf if you're not familiar with her. This is her second lace collection with Dime. So we were excited to finally get this released. She worked on it for quite a long time. So let's take a look at what you get in this collection. There's over 213 designs in this, and they make up 5 mini collections. Here is a beautiful sweater. Like, isn't that gorgeous? You could do a beautiful medallion such as that and then cut away the sweater so that, you know, you could kind of have a peekaboo look on the back. When you purchase Touch of Couture, you also get a link to download this pattern, her Bella knit top, for free. And that's a great value. It has, I opened it up, it has over 24 pages of instructions on how to make the garments, either short sleeves or long sleeves. She has lots of tips on sewing with knits, on fitting. And of course, if you are familiar with Angela and over in her group, you know she has lots of tips and techniques for stitching garments to fit you, not anybody else, but you personally. So here's a look at the 5 mini collections. The one that, the pink on the upper left corner, that's the one that I used for this bag, this insertion lace. So I just thought that was adorable. And it's a little different than the one that she used on her beautiful green and blue jacket. So here's a look at her jacket, and you can just notice how I like to play in software and audition these designs. So when I purchase a collection, I open it up in software and I start merging and copying, pasting, mirror imaging so that I can decide how I'm going to use it. And I imagine Angela worked in that fashion a little bit also. So you can see, look at that sleeve embellishment. Is that beautiful? Oh, that's just gorgeous. That right corner, and it goes around the hem and then up the sleeve. Just beautiful. Now, I often will sketch in my software. We have drawing tools in all of our software, and I'll go in there and show you in a minute. And you don't have to be an artist. You're just, this is not going to turn into an actual pattern. This just gives me an idea if I was going to do a long tunic or a beach cover up, like maybe a caftan, something like that. So I just quickly sketch out that silhouette, and then I start placing embroidery where I want it so I can see what it's going to look like before I even find the pattern to make the caftan. Or maybe it's something that's already in my closet and I can audition designs like that. For this instance, this is kind of a what I would call a gentle V-neck, right? It's not a real harsh V-neck, but I took a photograph of this. I just laid that t-shirt on a flat surface, and then I place a ruler in the photograph. And you can see that I have stabilizer stuck inside the shirt. That's so when I photograph it, that V-neck is defined very clearly, because without that stabilizer, it's red fabric on red fabric. Not that easy to see. So this way, it defines it very easily. The embroidery design that I'm working with is up there on the right-hand side. It's that little border that has 6 repeats of kind of a teardrop with those pretty satin edgings top and bottom. And I just repeated that several times. In the collection, you're going to find some singular medallions like the one that I placed at the center front to be the focal point and then connect to those side borders. Super fun. Now, if you are thinking about putting the trim on a zipper front, like flanking a zipper, you can mimic that zipper in software by just drawing running stitches or satin stitches. See on the left-hand side, those bold satin stitches are just mimicking to me what a zipper would look like. And it's a fast way to see if this is a look you want to go with. Like originally, I had my points pointing inwards like I do on the insertion lace. Well, it didn't look very well. It didn't look really attractive on the zipper. But on the insertion lace, it most certainly looks beautiful because it defines that area and really focuses the eye on the ribbon. So let's jump over into software. This always scares me, do this live, right? But I am in our Embroidery Toolshed. Now, Embroidery Toolshed is a free software that you are welcome to download and use to size embroidery and also to print templates. And when you print a template of it, you have the ability to add a crosshair, and you will stitch out, it will print out that design. This allows you to see your design in actual size. Here, I'll hold that up again now that the screen's larger. This allows you to print the design in actual size, and it will help you connect embroidery designs. Okay. So I also have all of our software, which is it's quite a long list, but the main two that I work in all the time are Perfect Embroidery Pro and My Lace Maker. And in Embroidery Toolshed, I have Perfect Embroidery Pro activated, meaning not activated, but selected as my default. So I right click on that ellipse and well, here I will do it like this. So you can see when I right click on a software that is not currently my default, it will change the software to the default. So I'm going to keep it as Perfect Embroidery Pro because that gives me all the tools that I want. But here I also have access to My Lace Maker. So I can click on My Lace Maker and it immediately takes me to the library of designs. I'm in the designer collections and I have selected Angela Wolfe's Touch of Couture. And in this library, this is where you're going to find all those mini collections. Now, let's take a look. You can see here we have some of these look really similar, but they all are unique in the sense that they may not have a mesh background. They may be a connecting element, meaning you will connect one from left to right. Sorry. And or they may be an end unit. So you have to, let me close my Outlook if I can. There we go. And back to where we were. Okay, and so in this collection here, so we have all those border options. Here's our standalone medallions that you can add to the end of borders or in the middle of borders to just, you know, connect elements and also to create focal points. Here are your angles, and you can see that this is how you will build squares and large design areas, just like that sweater that we saw earlier. So I'm going to select design 3, bring that into the screen. And when I bring it in, it comes in as a group, which is a wonderful thing because that means whatever I touch, it's just going to move as one unit. And I'll keep it like that for right now. And then I will copy and paste. And then I'm going to move that right off. And I'm going to mirror image it. And, you know, if your mouse skills are not that great in the sense that whenever you touch a design, you move it out of alignment with the other, we just select both designs. And then we use our alignment keys at the icons at the top to align that. And boom, perfectly aligned. Now, I could ungroup this now and then start working on little elements, but I don't really need to do that. So first thing I'd like to do here is add a buttonhole. And I have, there we go. So when I select my buttonhole, and I do have options from the select window, I have all these different options to select from, and I just selected the round on both ends because I thought that would be appropriate for the insertion lace. And now when I select the buttonhole, I can rotate it and move it into position. And it's too big for this design, so I can shrink that down. But I also want to keep in mind the size of my ribbon. So if my ribbon is 3/4 of an inch, I want to make sure that my buttonhole is also going to allow that ribbon to open up inside. And 3/4 of an inch is going to be too narrow for a 3/4 inch ribbon. So I'll make that larger. And now I can simply separate these borders. I can just pull them apart. And remember, I don't have to worry about my alignment. I can always connect, make sure they are aligned in this fashion. And move that over. Then I could repeat this. We have repeat tools that allow you to do that, but just for demonstration's sake right now, I'll just go ahead and put 3 of these in position. Again, I can make sure these are all aligned. There we go. And they're all lined up perfectly. So now I want to make this a continuous embroidery design. So I will select everything and click on the placement marks. And I have 9 different options, but I'm only going to select 6. I want top, all 3 at the top and all 3 at the bottom, and click on OK. Now, when they are positioned in the color sequence, they are all in the first color, meaning they're going to stitch before everything else. And that's okay, but it's not really what I want, because I want my last 3 to stitch last. So I will select them in the color sequence and change order to the front. And I'm also going to change their color so that we can easily identify them. So now, not only are they in as the last color of the design, but they are also a different color. Now, to connect these designs, I select everything and I copy and paste it and see if that's what I had in mind. And as you can see, it's not connecting as I anticipated, right? Because these designs actually have to overlap. So that's a very easy fix. Let me zoom in for you. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my, my placement marks that stitch last in the first design and move them up so they are at the very bottom of the area that I want to connect. And then I will select that second design and move that into position, connecting those designs. And now you can see when that stitches out, it'll be seamless. Everything will be absolutely lined up as I wanted. So now, because I'm in a 4x4 hoop, I'm going to get rid of that second design, and I will then send this to my machine and stitch it out, which I've already done over here. So let's switch over to this camera, and you can take a look at what I have already stitched. So, and I didn't do the buttonhole, but you'll forgive me for that. So here is my first repeat of this design, right? I'm going to do this 3 or 4 times to fill this big 10-inch bag. And I have stitched everything. And this is my last color, which is the placement guide for the next design. So my goal here is to stitch so that these will connect absolutely perfectly. And I can do that, you know, manually with the template, but because I have these placement marks in my software, it's so easy to use. So over at the machine, I have already stitched my placement marks, the first set of placement marks for design number 2. And you'll notice, so they're at the top of the design, and I stitched them in black so that you could really get a good look at that. Now we're going to take this back over to my fabric that I've already stitched. So let's do that. So here is my fabric, and I'm going to turn on my pal light because this beam I will align with my placement marks. So what I have going on here is here's my vertical crosshair and my horizontal, and I've aligned the top of all of the alignment marks with the horizontal beam, and that vertical beam with the center of that center crosshair, alignment mark crosshair. Now I just take my previously stitched design and I align this crosshair with that previously stitched alignment mark, finger press this in place, and this will stitch out exactly as I planned. All of that design will just connect and stitch just as I planned. It'll be absolutely centered and in the hoop. So it is super easy to do. So I can go ahead and put that back on the machine and stitch it. We could, you know, I don't think we really want to watch it stitch. We'll just let it start so you get a good idea of what it's going to look like, because it's just a sample. So let me go ahead and thread that machine. We don't want to stitch it in the black. I mean, I guess I could, then you would really see how close it is, because it would be easily identifiable. But since this is a beautiful Baby Lock Solaris and we have that automatic threader, we'll let it do its work. Okay, and so we'll just let that stitch. Now, I am using my sticky hoop, and you don't need a sticky hoop, but you do need sticky stabilizer for this technique. And I like to use, depending on the project, I like to use either the Exquisite Sew and Wash, adhesive sew and wash, or the Exquisite Peel and Stick. Either one is appropriate for this. And Diane, you want to know, do we have the sticky hoops for FOF yet? I'm sorry, we do not. I'm sorry. Let's see. And Wanda, you just received your PAL yesterday. Isn't it great? I know, we love it. We love it. We use it for so many different things. And here's our friend Deborah Jones. She says, you will love it. After you get the hang of some things, everything else seems pretty much the same. And I think she might be talking to Cindy West, who's trying to learn her PEP software. You know, our PEP software is very intuitive. You know, when I hover my mouse, my cursor over any tool on the screen, you will see that it gives me a text box and tells me what it is. Like right here, it's telling me placement marks. Up here, when I hover over the run stitch icon, it says run stitch, class satin and classic satin, steel, on and on. And, you know, if you feel you can't find something, often what you're looking for could be in the right click options. Here we have utility and convert to. This is where many options are. So don't think you can't find it. Just take your time. Remember, you can't break software and you can't break embroidery designs. And Rita Turner, you want to know, could you use the magnetic hoop? Yes, you can use the magnetic hoop for this technique. But when you use the magnetic hoop, you want to make sure that you secure your stabilizer in the hoop. Let me get one out. I'll show you how you would do that. So just bear with me a minute here. Why I get this stabilizer, because I want to show you, you know, lots of us use sticky. Well, it's a good thing there's no camera over there. Last week I told you what a mess I made. You should see what just happened over there. Oh, well, okay. All right, so now you're there. Let's go under here. So this is a regular monster hoop. This is not a sticky hoop. And how do we know? Well, it comes with a top and it has the protective suede on the back. You're not going to have that on your sticky hoops, because sticky hoops are meant to have a piece of stabilizer on the back that's going to protect the hoop and the machine from each other. So this is a monster hoop. Now, I would take a piece of the peel and stick, and you want to make sure that you are using the adhesive side, right? So if you don't know what that is, you can just peel a corner to make sure you identify what side is the sticky side and what side is the protective paper. And so then you're going to place that in the hoop and secure it. And this, you know, it's beautiful because it's so nice and flat. And then you will take a pin or a scissor point, and you're just going to score that protective paper. And you kind of have to be careful that you don't go all the way through. I often like to do a big X and then just take that pin and work it to find a piece that separates. And then once you get it separated a little bit, it will peel away for you. And, you know, the beauty of this is, you know, this adhesive stabilizer was designed to be strong enough to really hold your fabric. So don't be frustrated if you have a little bit of trouble separating the protective paper from from the actual substrate, this sticky stabilizer. And I'm kind of struggling with this because I'm not really on the right surface, but here we go. I don't think I perforated the protective paper enough when I used that pin. But basically here now I have a nice flat surface. It's not a sticky hoop, but it is flat. I don't have to worry about going over the inner and outer ring of a standard hoop. So again, I would just stitch my first placement marks right on there. Now, what if you don't have placement marks? Well, you can do the very same technique by just using a template. But in this case, you would then hoop your fabric, and we can, well, I don't know that we'll get that far, but you would hoop your fabric and you would center your next template, aligning that together. And this is a good time to use a product that we sell, which is our adhesive, our print and stick target paper, because that has an adhesive on the back that would actually, you print your template on it and your template would stick to the fabric, making it very easy to hoop. So then you would hoop this, and of course, you'd have enough fabric so that it would fill the hoop and so forth, and then center your needle dead center over that crosshair. You can use your trace feature to make sure you are square in the hoop when you trace that design, and then just remove that template and then stitch that design. That's the old school way. That's how I did that massive mantle scarf that's 6 feet wide. That's how I did that with templates. We didn't have the alignment marks back then, so you most certainly can do it. And let's see, could I show how to place the monster hoop with the multi-needle machine? I don't have a multi-needle machine in here, and I don't know if I have a multi-monster. There's 2 ways to use a multi-needle monster, and that is when you are doing tubular items and you want the bag, let's say it's a tote bag or a t-shirt, you want that to hang around the machine throat, then you can put the magnetic frame on the bottom of the monster hoop, and that allows you to attach that frame to the arms and still use the tubular ability of that machine. If you're doing heavy towels or maybe a quilt or something like that, then you can place the magnetic frame on top. That works either ways. And Diane, you want to know, have the machines been tested to handle the extra weight of the magnetic hoop? Yes, we have tested the FOF and Viking machines with our new 360 by 200, and we have not incurred any issues with it. The machine recognizes it. It does stitch the whole design. So we have not had an issue with that. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, and Kristen Swanson, you're right. Sticky. If you can't use a sticky hoop, we have a limited, offering of those. We don't make them for all machine models. That the monster hoop is also good for repositioning. Yeah, it is. And if you're going to use that template process that I just showed you, it's really great in monster hoop because you can make minute fabric adjustments in monster hoop by just lifting that frame and adjusting the fabric. So pretty easy to use. So let's see, what else do we have? Do we have to chat about? Any other questions about that? Isn't it fun to do continuous embroidery? I mean, I'm just amazed at all the different projects you can do whether it's clothing or whether it's home decor or accessories like handbags and so forth. It's super fun. So let's see what else I'm supposed to be covering here. And let's see. Yeah. So our PAL is also a great tool for continuous embroidery, and I use that all the time. We use it for a lot of different things, but for continuous embroidery, it is spot on for sure. So let's see. We are done the first stitch. So it's not going to be as pretty as the second, but as you can see, it is aligned right connected, right next to each other. So as I stitch that satin outline, though, it will all connect and just butt right up to each other. So super fun. Easy, easy. Don't you think that Angela Wolf's collection is just beautiful? There's just so many different possibilities in it. I'm amazed at everything that she put in there. Let's see. And can we see the PAL 2? Sure. I can pull it kind of out of its stem here. So you are looking at the beam. Let's go ahead and get an overhead shot here. You are looking at the beam right now of PAL 2, and I have a lot of light in the room. So the laser beam that you see is not all that strong. He's working on the camera. We see that that's fuzzy. So if you just give us a minute and let that refocus. And I can bring this PAL 2. So this is PAL 2. You can see it has a elbow frame that is expandable, and you can, adjust the height of the frame. It also comes with a globe, a protective globe, but especially in camera work, it gets in the way, so I don't use it, and frankly, it's really not necessary. It is powered by a USB, no, is it? Yeah, a USB. So you can either attach it to a computer, or you can also use the plug that comes with it. So it's powered either way that you want. But once you have this positioned, like I always have it in my sewing room, right over my hoop mat, and I call that my hooping throne. And I line that up with my mat. I make sure that the laser is aligned with the grid on the mat, and then I'm always absolutely lined up when I bring in my hoop. I just position the marks on the hoop aligned with the laser and the grid, and I'm good to go. And I didn't use my center grid. Let's see. What's the difference between PAL 1 and PAL 2? Well, they do the same thing, but PAL 2 is small. So this is PAL 2. And this is a great travel laser, like if you like to take a lot of classes on the road, and who doesn't, if we ever get to go back there. But it is powered by batteries, and they come with batteries. They're right in the bottom. And you can extend this gooseneck up nice and tall, and then bend it over so that it illuminates straight down and giving you your beam. Now, I will tell you, I prefer PAL 2. PAL 2 was an improvement over PAL 1 because this gooseneck is not really all that big, as you can see. Now, the beam, the laser crosshair, can get larger if you lift this up and make it, taller, right? The greater distance between the head of the lamp and the surface, the bigger the beam. But I find that, PAL 2 is the one for me. That's the one that I like the best. Okay. And Barbara Gabbard, you said no hoop. Not sure what you mean by no hoop. But we have lots of hoops. We're all about hoops. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, Judy, I'm glad, that you were able to see it in use to help make up your mind. It's fabulous. And, when you're doing like big t-shirts or jacket backs, you're kind of in the middle of nowhere, right? When you are hooping in a garment, you don't have side seams at that point, or even the shoulder seams are not visible near the hoop, so you don't know if you're square. And boy, that is really helpful. Very, very helpful. So you're welcome. So next week, we're not going to be here on Thursday because it is Thanksgiving, and a very happy Thanksgiving to all of you who are celebrating here in the USA with the rest of us. I think if we have the chance to celebrate, we are grateful for this getting through this difficult year, 2020, and we are looking forward to brighter days in 2021. So Barbara Gabbard, you want to know, what is PAL? PAL stands for Perfect Alignment Laser. And Perfect Alignment Laser illuminates a crosshair on a surface, and that surface can be fabric, it can be a hooping station. Here you can see, I have too much light on in this room, but here you can see this crosshair, and it is just awesome. Linda Smith, I have not heard of that. They do also sell magnetic hoops, so I would find that very hard to believe, and so not sure about that. But on Monday, November 30th at noon Central Time, 1 o'clock Eastern Time, we will be celebrating Cyber Monday, and you're going to find Deborah Jones, Ashley Jones, and also Aine McCarthy, along with myself, and we're going to do Dime Demo Day. So it'll be super fun. We'll start at noon Central Time, and we hope to go to 4 or 5 o'clock, however long you all are here. And we will also have the drum roll for the Dime Door of December. So that'll be our last one for 2020. And of course, we have great plans for 2021. So don't think we're not going to continue it. They won't be doors, but it's going to be a whole new concept. And we're really excited to share that with you in January. And we will do that in January. We won't reveal that during the holiday week. We'll wait till January, but that schedule will come up for sure. So happy holidays, and I still enjoy doing these. I'm so grateful that you all join me. It's so fun to meet with you every week and kind of stitching between friends and learning from each other. So we look forward to seeing you on Cyber Monday at 1 o'clock.